Today is Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of the Survivor Edge of Extinction finale.
It's finally here. 19 years of Survivor. The 38th season is coming to a conclusion. This final episode is titled, I See the $1 Million, courtesy of Mr. Rick Devens. Again.
Dang.
He got a lot of the titles, huh?
Yes, he did.
Do you remember how you had your picks? Do you remember who you had and where?
Yes.
As we went in, so we can frame our
I had Gavin going out in sixth place. Too. I had Chris going out in fifth place.
I had Victoria in fifth.
And then I had Victoria in fourth.
I had David in fourth. I thought he was going to come back.
Okay, well, at least I got that right. Didn't get me anything.
Nope,
but
wasn't worth any points.
And then I had third, Julie, Lauren second, and Rick for the win.
Yeah, we had that part the same.
Yeah, which was amazing because we didn't talk about it. We made our picks. I just kind of went in and went, okay. And
I don't know that it's amazing, but I would attribute it to the fact that we do influence each other.
Well, yeah, but we had the exact same positions except oh, that's right. No, we didn't. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had Chris going in fourth, but I didn't. I remember now. I was wrong. So we didn't have the exact same. But we thought we did through most of the show.
Yes.
I forgot that I forgot.
All right, 5 remain with 11 to battle back in. It's time for that Lazarus challenge. It's day 35. Let's get going.
All right.
So they got some rope obstacles they got to get through. Then they got to build a rope bridge that they got to get over, which was strange because he said you can't touch the sides, but you had to touch the sides to attach the elements of the rope bridge. But whatever. Yeah, you can't brace on it.
They had rings. Mm-hmm. They had rings, so you had to touch it with the rings, but you weren't supposed to grab a hold of it.
They had to untie at, 2 different stations, I think, and then they had to get 2 balls for a table maze that they had to solve at the end, where they had to land the 2 balls, one in the midway spot and one at the far end from themselves.
And you had David winning. I had Chris, even though I wanted to put Joe, but I just...
Yeah, I circled around Joe a lot, too. Multiple times went to...
I just kept feeling like it was Chris.
Yeah, when I tried to game out the rest of it with Joe, it didn't feel right. So I thought, well, I got to come at it a different way because you have to, when you're doing your picks, you have to decide who's coming back.
Right.
And then you make up the story. And then
when do they leave?
Yeah, then you make up the story based on that.
And who wants to keep them and what do they do?
Because all those things influence each other. I think this is hands down the most difficult.
Most complicated.
Set of picks.
Choice.
Yeah, and so many unknowns. And it's a reflection of the season. It's just a pure reflection of the whole Edge of Extinction component.
And we've never had that many people to choose from before.
Right. That's why.
And so it's like, whoa.
Although some were pretty easy to rule out, and they definitely, you knew you had been smart to rule out Reem. And I think Aubrey, she got stuck on the one that she was able to practice, right?
She practiced on the one pole that she practiced.
Her brain locked up. It was like the second stage of that.
She said she got hung up.
$699 value, free. Our customers are raving about this deal. Hurry in, your budget.
Yeah, so Aubrey she got tied up.
Stuck. She said, I'm stuck. What have I done?
When Reem passed her and And I was thinking Reem was at the very back. Then I knew something was wrong.
It's like,
so
no, Aubrey is still back there.
She melted down completely.
Joe had already gotten one of his balls in, and I remember you could see Aubrey right straight back behind him in the distance, still trying to get out from those ropes on that pole.
So they all made pretty quick work of it, and they ended up being quite a good challenge, I guess. It was close at the end, right? And
even
Chris wasn't the first one there, so he was coming from behind.
Even War Dog and Ron beat Aubrey.
Yes.
That's just wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, our boy Eric he did well. He got out to an early lead. He was looking good. And then,
can't do a mace.
Yeah.
I would think Eric would be very impatient with something like that. I don't know why I think that, but I do think that he would just be too impatient. I don't know.
Well, it was looking like your least desirable scenario, because initially Aurora made it to the table maze first.
Oh, yes.
She was doing really good in the challenge.
I did notice that.
And then, Eric and Joe were right on her heels, basically, but she did get there first, and she landed the first ball, too.
Yep.
And then Joe, and then Chris, and then Joe dropped. It looked like he had it.
Yeah.
And then Chris ended up winning. So
well,
Chris
and
for the
Eric
win.
dropped several times. So he and Joe both really.
Yeah.
And Aurora must have too.
You and I had Eric as our USB.
Yeah, and I still didn't choose him.
No.
I kept telling myself, well, it would be smarter if you chose Eric just in case. And
it just never felt right, did it? No.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I wanted to choose Chris. I just had that weird feeling. Even after you convinced me that he wasn't highlighted in that shot out over the water,
No, I said he was highlighted visually. What I said was that his
not what he said.
Yeah, the oral component of it wasn't anything
I
significant.
That.
But you chose well.
Well, not really, because I really felt exactly the same that Julie, Lauren, and Rick would be the final three.
Yeah.
I was just as adamant about that. So
it's hard not to cheer for Rick unless you weren't cheering for Rick for other reasons.
But either way, choosing the person that did come back doesn't get you any points. So
right.
It was irrelevant, really.
Okay, what'd you think about this next section? This is the classic Probst isn't done with his talk show career section where he goes one by one. How did you feel? How did you feel? What did you learn from our amazing social experiment?
Well, some of it might have been okay if I didn't have this very pessimistic person in the room yakking about,
I see.
Doing a talk show again.
I didn't actually say that at that point. I said that later.
I'll watch this later.
Yeah.
But now it was, I really, they could have just showed a couple and moved on because that's the kind of thing I'd like to see in an extra clip. So that if I want to see it, I can. But they give us more content on the show.
Yes.
Because I was anxious to see.
If you tell me I have to choose between this and Probst talking to someone in the audience, easy, hands down, I choose this. But I would have been just fine. I guess they want to honor their investment in their great social experiment, so they get to pat themselves on the back.
That was definitely
take credit for all the personal growth. I'm a winner inside. And then there's just like some confusing replies. I have no clue what Wentworth was trying to say. I just wrote "what" at the end of my notes. Yes, experienced the game, came to win, whatever.
Yeah.
And Aubrey was mentally fatigued. Yes, we saw that. Thanks for highlighting it.
Well, she should have been exhausted. She spent the whole challenge wrapped around that dang pole, squatting.
Aubrey, the pole dancer.
With ropes holding her.
Yeah.
Which is just so ironic because her being the only one that got the advantage.
That was a crappy advantage.
It was.
Let's be honest.
It was.
That was just really...
Though it should have helped get through that section.
If you wanted that to be an advantage, it should have been the table maze that you got to practice.
I think she did better the very first practice
than she did
in the actual challenge. Though who knows what kind of day she was having. So
Well, it definitely wasn't a good one.
No.
Yeah, definitely. And
anyway, poor Aubrey.
poor Aubrey, bless her heart. And then the Probst announces that they are indeed the jury and they're off to the Ponderosa. And it looks like there are quite a few Ponderosa videos, some between like 5 and 8 minutes long for us to check out too. So.
Yeah, we'll do that before the listener feedback show.
Yeah. Okay, day 35 back at camp. 28 days on edge of extinction, and he is back.
Well, and all the others cheered for him, for Chris, that he won, so they seem happy.
Yep, and Julie introduces herself. Nice to meet you. Oh, wait, you know what? I skipped over a really weird moment.
Okay.
In between those two, that they're headed back to camp with Chris, and when they're actually back at camp, Probst brought Joe out. And he talked about all this, all the wins.
Oh, you're talking about live?
His ability to win. Yeah. So at the reunion, or not the reunion show, but in a live moment, he brings Joe onto the stage and asks him if he's going to come back. And Joe's not really comfortable answering in the affirmative.
Like, well, I really want to hang up my hat, but I can see myself playing again sometime.
Yeah, so he complimented him on being such a big challenge winner, then asked him, hey, can someone like you win? And for some reason, Joe had a hard time answering that question. And then it took the turn for the really weird. So really weird part one, Probst says, hey, you should cut your hair if you want to win.
Well, speaking about hair.
That's part two. And Probst says, and my barber's here if you want to cut your hair. So they go back and forth about is Joe going to cut his hair or not?
Well, I would have taken one look at the side view of Jeff's head and gone, no.
Probst's hair was weird.
No.
Probst had weird hair.
Of course, that might have been his stylist.
He didn't have a pompadour, but it was a pompadour. It was pumped up.
It's not Jeff. It's not his normal.
It looked like an older guy who's losing his hair, trying to make it look like he still had a lot of hair. That's what it looked like to me.
He did have a lot more than I've ever seen him with. But
it was an odd look for sure.
It was an odd look, an odd style, an odd something. Hadn't quite put my finger on it. But it was odd.
Even what he was wearing seemed off.
Yeah.
Like he had just woken up and he's like, oh, crap.
Well, I said that. Maybe he took a nap.
Yeah, like he had nap head.
Because my hair does that every time I take a nap.
You get some pretty fierce faux hawk.
Hey, you can't say anything now. Now that you have hair again and you've let it grow out, you can say nothing about my faux hawks.
I think you still win, though.
Well, I do have some pretty good hair in the mornings.
Yeah.
I must not rest well at night.
So it was funny to see Probst like that, someone who's so coiffed all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Back at camp, congrats, Chris. Nice to meet you, Julie. And Chris says, I have information, and tries to downplay his game. What did you think about his lead-in? He had obviously put some thought into all that.
Yeah. Well, what else did he have to do?
Exactly.
I would say something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought, okay. I don't know that it worked as well as he envisioned.
Well, it didn't work for Victoria.
No, it didn't work for Victoria at all.
She says, ridiculous.
Didn't believe it for a second.
He's not giving up.
You're okay going out next? No, you're not.
Plus,
that's a lie.
She tells us he is absolutely not good for my game.
Yeah, I don't know him. Other people do know him. He's not good for my game. He's out of here.
Yeah.
So she must have really got upset when it came her turn and not his. So, okay.
All right, time for Chris and Rick to reunite, and they make some pledges.
I did kind of like how he said, I do have information, and if you want to talk to me, come on by.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's no pressure. But if you, who wouldn't come talk to him then?
So you did like
just
how he
see what he would tell.
Then.
I liked that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was his main pitch.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Chris and Rick talking there on the porch or whatever they call it, that wooden bench where they lay out there on the beach.
Okay, Rick promised Chris he would not write his name down.
Mm-hmm.
And
something
that lasted throughout the game, didn't it?
Yeah. So, they decided that they did want to sit with each other. Chris said he wanted to sit with him at the end, and he wanted to make Final Four with him. So it seemed like he was walking it back. Final three, Final Four. Well, no, that's why I'm saying, I think he was saying, yeah, Final 3 and Final 4. So, how do we fulfill those steps? That was how I understood it.
Well, and then he had a talk with Lauren, who he also knew from the other tribe. And she's telling him, you need to trust me. I can make sure that no votes are on you.
You're talking about at night there, right? Night 35?
When they're talking, Chris and Lauren.
Okay.
And he's telling her that Wentworth told him a message for her.
Mm-hmm.
And he highlighted the whether you have to play it right.
Play it correctly.
Either correctly on yourself or someone else.
Now, do you think Wentworth actually said that?
I have no idea, but it was a good line.
I'm going no. And I think that was a great line. And I like how he planted or someone else.
Yeah. No, I don't think that was even a plant. That was just a flat out. Or me. So anyway, she got the message.
Lauren tells us in her confessional she's not sure that she believes him, but she's his best option. But you really shouldn't trust her, because if she goes on a date with her boyfriend and Ryan Reynolds is there, who is married to Blake Lively, Lauren tells us that she would be more than happy to dump her boyfriend and date Ryan Reynolds.
Well, I don't know. I bet Chris is looking pretty good tonight. So.
Okay, day 36. It's time for that final 6 immunity challenge. What did you think about this one? They got to dive through those ropes, somehow get through those ropes. Diving seemed to be a popular
Rick
option.
dove, and I thought, he's just thinking, chocolate cake. Dive.
He wasn't the only one who chose to dive through there.
No, but...
And then they've got to jump over, so you got to do
closest.
like that gymnast pommel horse kind of jump over thing.
I was surprised Rick did as well as he did across the balance beam. That was pretty impressive.
And there's a balance beam where they get the numbers to a combo lock.
Yep.
And then once they open the combo lock, they can move on to a circular puzzle. Now, I thought it was that puzzle from Caramoan, but it was actually in the shape of a circle. So it was similar, but different.
Well, the really hard part was they had to stop in the middle of the beam, balance while they untied knots.
To retrieve the
pieces.
The numbers.
Yeah, the numbers.
To use for the combo lock, yeah.
It's like, man.
Yep, that was tough. And then Chris, he slipped off. He was ripping through the challenge until he got to that point, and he fell right off the balance beam at first.
But Victoria gets the combination
surprising,
first.
yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, I forget she's in challenges.
Pure luck. Well, and Probst ran right by her without saying anything again. Yeah.
Well, yep. Well, it's easy to forget Victoria's around. She just kind of disappears.
So where Victoria had great luck with the combo lock, Chris, not so much. He fell very far behind.
Yeah, he was last. And Julie was in the lead. And then the girls see that Julie's in the lead. And I'm sure by this time they're thinking, yeah, I don't have a chance putting this thing together.
Certainly that's what Chris concluded too, because he stopped working on his own puzzle to help Julie. What did you think about that moment there when he did that?
I thought that was a wise moment. Rick was horrified.
Yeah.
And what the heck are you doing? I thought you were with me, but
I was surprised he said that out loud.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was a wise move I think Julie, but he doesn't know Julie. So he didn't know Julie probably would take him anyway, and she wouldn't vote him out first because it makes you a horrible person if they've been out there and morally wrong, because we know that from when Rick came back.
Right.
So, but he doesn't know Julie, and so I thought he didn't know she would take him.
But you know what he knew? Julie looked an awful lot like steak and cake. And
That's
so
right.
He made his pitch.
She smells like steak and cake to me. I'm going to help her.
Yes. I think she's getting some steak. Maybe she'll take me.
And, the other people, everyone except Rick, oh, good job, Julie. Oh.
Actually,
like they didn't support you before.
Oh, at that stage, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant congratulating at the end. Yeah, but she pulled it off.
No.
She ended up winning.
She did.
Solved it.
And
with Chris's help.
And I think that she really showed her hand there, that her closeness to Lauren instead of Rick.
I guess hard to falter, especially given her position in the game at this point for choosing Chris. That made sense.
Yeah, totally.
And then she chose Lauren, and that really got to Rick.
Yes, it did. And I don't know that it didn't affect both the other two, Gavin and Victoria, as well.
In what sense?
The three of them being off together, which is coming up in just a bit, so it got to them too that those three were off. And
Sure.
So they weren't trusting.
But that was more about her choice to take Chris and the threat that he represented.
Well, still, they obviously didn't.
I don't think Julie owed Gavin or Victoria anything
No,
at
she
that
didn't.
point because they had already gone against
or
her.
Lauren either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, she didn't care that she owed Rick. She still wants him out. She'll take help from him if she needs him.
Devins tells us that Chris helping Julie blew his mind. He wants to trust Chris, but then he's not sure he can.
Though he just kind of does, anyway.
Okay, back at camp there on day 36, it's time for steak and cake, and that was a giant cake.
It was
that was an
huge.
abnormally tall cake.
I would have liked to have seen it when they cut a slice, just
Yeah.
to see what it was like inside.
Yep.
Plus, they had, I don't know if it was champagne or wine or
It
whatever
reminds me
they
of the one
served.
at Claim Jumpers, the one that's like, what is it, 14 layers?
I don't know. It's humongous.
Yeah. Anyway. So, and Julie's even got sage advice for how to partake of the food reward, telling Chris to save room for dessert.
Well, she basically said she can't eat all that food and have dessert, so she's going to stop so she can have dessert. Mm-hmm. That's more important.
Right.
So she can't eat all that steak.
And her main goal is to make sure that Devins doesn't make it to the end.
Yeah.
Because he's a shoe-in to win as far as she's concerned, and that's why she needs Chris.
I bet Chris could help her with her problem of too much steak.
Yeah, probably.
Were you surprised to hear Julie saying, I still don't want Rick in the final three? I'm still working against him
No.
as hard as I can.
No, that's overwhelming. They were all aware of Devin's wins if he gets there.
Well, but I still feel like Julie would have been gone before if Rick hadn't, done the ploy of, I'm going to play my idol for her. He didn't, so she didn't owe him, but he still saved her.
I'm not so sure that's the case because they
No?
still thought, well, it's because
I
these
thought it
conversations play out that we're coming into now, everyone thinks that Rick's idol was fake. So if you thought his idol was fake,
But
what do you care if he plays a
they
fake
didn't
idol
think
for
it
Julie?
was fake until after that, though, because he didn't play it. They thought it was fake then, but they didn't think it was fake in that moment, or they wouldn't have not voted for Julie.
Yeah, I'm still not sure that that's clear.
Well, I am.
Okay.
You can trust me.
We can go with that.
We can go with that. Yeah, that works for me.
Chris tells us that real or fake, he's got to, or tells them rather, that he's got to figure out if Devin's idol is the real deal. Yeah.
Well, and Lauren is adamant that there is no way he would have shown it if it was real. So she's sure it's not real. But Chris came up with the idea to split the vote between Victoria and Rick, and tells everybody. Of course, I would
Tells
like to
Julie
know.
and Lauren.
Yeah, those two. That was everybody there. Anyway, I'd like to know if it was really true, if the jury felt that Rick and Victoria were the strongest players.
Yeah, it would have been great to
'Cause
get a question along those lines.
he
Unfortunately,
can,
that is not to be.
He could make up anything he wanted to say that the jury thought,
Sure.
as it
That's
suited
his
him.
power, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, that is
Yep.
the power of being there, because they don't know for sure.
Yep. That's why he said he
And-
had information. I love the way he played all that.
Okay.
Lauren
Well,
tells us she's got no intention of sitting by Victoria either.
Not now, not after he said that.
And Victoria and Gavin are worried. And
Yeah.
Victoria actually says, look, we need to get rid of Chris now.
Well, I think it's mostly Victoria that was worried. I don't think Gavin didn't
Well, do you
seem
ever
to
get
be.
the sense that Gavin was really on top of anything at any point?
Not really.
No.
seemed to be the girls would saying
Yes.
things, and then they'd bring Gavin in. It's
Right.
the way it was with the one vote when Aurora gave him the second vote,
Right. They'd make the decisions, and then
and
they
then
would
they'd
include
bring
him.
Gavin in.
Yeah. So this doesn't seem really that different in how that exchange between Victoria and Gavin went down.
But I'm sure they made him
What
feel
did,
that.
what did you think
was
about it
his
when
choice.
they end up working with Devins, basically? They go over and talk to him.
I think it was a smart move.
It was smart on them, and if you keep doors open, you have those opportunities sooner. This is reeks of desperation, but to Devin's credit, he tells them he's open to it. He's absolutely open to getting rid of Chris. So he told them exactly what they wanted to hear.
So, and it did, not taking Victoria did affect Victoria, that Julie made that choice.
It wasn't so much not taking Victoria as it was that she took Chris, and she
But and Lauren,
she was, why would you fuel our enemies, right? Why are you going to fuel him like that? That was Victoria's.
just give him that much better chance of winning tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
So, would she have, Victoria have
Gavin's-
reacted any differently if she had taken Gavin?
Yes, I
You
think probably
think?
she would. Yeah, yeah. I liked I liked Kevin's answer to Victoria too. He was basically saying, "Well, it's Julie. It's not like you can expect logic from her."
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was a Julie put down. So, okay, Chris is talking to Rick, and he talks about how hurt he was when Rick voted him out. But you were the next one to leave, and we made our amends out on the edge of extinction, and he's good with that.
Oh, he's so good that he will fight or die for Rick now.
Oh yeah, and he'll push for him to win if it's not going to be me. I'll stand behind.
I like Devin's response. Hey, what'd you get in your bag? I know
Yeah.
you got something. Out comes the split idol again.
Yeah, what'd you get this morning? What is it?
Same one that Rick got when he returned. And so Chris doesn't hesitate. He splits it and gives his half to Rick to cement their trust.
I don't know about cementing the trust, but for
Well,
that,
that's Chris.
well,
That's
for
Chris's
one
intent.
vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, for one vote, but you know
I'm not sure what your point is.
that he have offered it up if Rick hadn't asked.
I think so. Yeah. I think
Hmm.
they definitely needed each other at that point.
True, but he didn't say anything until Rick asked him. So
Okay.
that's why I thought, well, I don't know, maybe he wasn't. He hadn't decided
To
who
be
he
clear,
might
too,
use it for.
that idol will not become powerful unless you split it and give it away. You absolutely
and
must
the other person gives it back.
give a half away. Yeah.
Yes, you have to give it away to someone.
Yep.
But he could have also utilized it for Lauren. So that's why I'm saying I don't know that he'd made up his mind what he was going to do with it
You can, okay.
until Rick asked.
No way to have an answer for that right
Nope.
now.
No,
Devins is struggling with it in any case too, because it's a personal relationship that he's dealing with, and that made it even more challenging. So we got to see some of the impact of that on the strategic thought and planning, the personal side of the social game that enters in some of these cases.
Well, it really kind of worked out perfectly because he secured with Rick by giving him that. And then he went to Lauren and convinced her that to prove herself to him,
See, in case you
she
thought,
really needed to play her idol. And I thought, yeah, right, dude.
in case you were thinking that Lauren was really this, as she self-proclaimed, a mastermind of the game, this should help you see her in a slightly different light. Because sure enough, yeah, Chris says, hey, I gotta convince her to do that. And she did. And he played the scared potential victim, and she ate it up and says, if Rick plays his idol, I'll play mine for you. So
Knowing that Rick's going to play his idol.
he disarmed her. Yes, knowing, absolutely.
He had prior knowledge
Yes.
of that. So, and this was her test. Okay, so we're
Off to tribal council there on night 36. The jury comes in. They are cleaned up.
and Chris talks for the jury's benefit about having to learn to play again.
The roller coaster ride, he
Yep,
says.
yep. And Lauren tells about how he said he had a lot of information. Come and get it.
Now we get to talk about the reward a little bit and Julie's choice to take Chris.
Yeah, Rick gets to say, me no Julie didn't. It's me. And I've done so much for her.
Not only did he, yeah. So he had a moment, right? It was.
Well, actually, I think that was a
you think that
genuine.
was genuine? You don't think it was a Julie moment?
It might have been a little of both.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it does break you down when you're just always fighting. Because he hesitated and didn't try to speak for a second. I think it was genuine. And that, but he cracked the joke about, I don't want Eric's buddies to make fun of me.
Yeah, he had remembered that, I guess, from their discussions on Edge of Extinction.
Yeah. And all those firefighters going to sit around and make fun of you.
Yeah, if you're a
crying.
man and you're crying.
They'll make fun of you. So.
Yeah, so I like how Rick did it. He said he was disappointed, and he said the human thing to do would have been to offer it to him. So he really went hard on Julie in that regard. And I liked how he put that together, even if, it was breaking him down some.
So Jeff was talking about Chris as a messenger.
Wait, no, Victoria didn't miss a beat. She said, why rock the boat? We've got someone to vote out, and it's Rick.
Yeah, we already
Victoria's not taking her foot off his throat at all. Nope.
No, not at all.
Sorry, you the messenger, are you talking about there's someone at the top and
Yeah.
I'll give you info? Yeah.
Yeah, and Lauren, I was a little bit confused by her saying, there's no way he gives us everything, because if he did, why would we keep him? Because he seemed to react a little bit to that, like, oh.
Well, so did Wentworth. She got all bug-eyed in response.
It's like, oh, maybe I should hold something back. So I wasn't quite sure about that. It seems like maybe more had been said that we weren't privy to, or something just felt a little bit.
I think Rick did a really good job of drawing fire here. His overall performance and what we got to see at this point was about getting those votes to come his way, because he knows he's going to play. He knows he's going to play the idol.
He does.
And so I think he...
Draw him in.
Yeah, he did that well here.
Yep. And so they vote. Rick plays the idol for himself. And Lauren's like, man, I thought she wasn't going to do it. There was just enough pause.
Yeah.
That I thought, oh, she's not going to play that. And then she does.
Well, she gave a little eye roll there, at least a single eye. She has the ability to roll just one eye, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yes.
But, okay, the votes were...
Sorry, let's emphasize for her.
Okay.
Lauren
Okay.
tells us that her idol that she's going to play on Chris' behalf is broken because she had it since day 2. So she's doing a little jury management with her declaration there.
A little bit broken here.
But sure enough, no votes for Devins, no votes for Chris will count.
It felt a little martyrish to me because, I have to do this. And, but to give it up for him.
Now, going back to what you were saying, Devins does not count, does not count, does not count for 3. Chris does not count, and you're thinking they're going to roll in for Chris, but no, it pivots to Victoria, and now she's clued in as to what's really happening.
Yep.
It's her turn to go.
She did on the first vote. Oh, man.
Yep.
They got her.
Yep. And Lauren realizes, oh, I didn't have to play it. Even says it out loud.
Yep, they did split the vote, though.
What did you think when Victoria told Gavin that she was going to vote for him? She's leaving. And she
okay.
tells, she's like, good game, everyone.
It's like, what?
And then she turns to Gavin and says that she's going to vote for him
to win. Yeah. Well, I think it was kind of her dig, and I thought, well, you just put a bigger target on his back.
Exactly. So
what'd you do that for?
Supportive?
If you like Gavin, why did you do that?
I think it was her being snarky. I think she wanted to get her own little dig because she wanted a little bit. She just wanted to throw something back at him, I think.
Yeah, snarky to them, but I didn't think she was that way with Gavin.
No.
So.
Yeah, but it was her way to get something back on them for voting her out, I believe.
Yeah. So.
Okay, we're back at camp. It's night 36, but who's not sleeping?
Rick.
That's right. Ranger Rick Devens. He is up and about, and we find out that he had previously made not one, but 2 fake idols. And he's got a plan. So he replants them with their original clues.
Love it.
Even the one to sucker whoever finds it in to the one that's up above the camp there.
I know. I mean, that really, come on. I'm surprised Lauren even got suspicious. And if she hadn't known Rick found an idol, I don't think she would have. They'd have just thought, oh, yeah, they did put 2.
But they were doing a much better job, finally, of keeping up with Rick. They're all over him. Devens is telling us that Julie's even moving out in front of him, hoping that she can sweep something up before he gets there. And lo and behold, he finds one, and they're aware of it right away. So they move out ahead of him, and he finds one in the crook of a crooked tree, a tree that had fallen over in the bark. It was stuffed in the bark there. Mm-hmm. So he finds one.
Well, and he gives Chris his half idol back.
And they're locked in. They're like, hey, we're it.
All right. Well, then that's that.
Yep, we couldn't take each other down if we wanted to.
We have real idols. They have fake ones.
Guaranteed Final Four. Well, the fake ones hadn't been found yet, but yes, that's where we're headed. Julie finds one, and she's ecstatic, yelling for Lauren through the jungle, which even Rick hears when he's sitting and talking with Chris back at camp. And he goes, yeah, I think that she just found one of the fake idols.
Oh, yeah.
She starts yelling, Lauren, Lauren.
Lauren, Lauren, Lauren.
And
I thought,
Lauren
why
herself,
would you advertise that, Julie?
well, like she said, this was on her bucket list.
I guess.
So she's pretty happy with herself.
Well,
she's locked
she
in.
checked off her bucket list. She got to play an idol.
That's true. She
Fake
didn't say
one,
anything about
but
whether
an
it
idol
was.
nonetheless.
Yeah, it had to be real or fake, did she?
And then Lauren, who thinks, wait a minute, there could be another one because 2 were played. I better keep looking.
Finds a scroll, and it's the one that gives the clue to the one that was hidden above camp.
She's so excited.
Yes.
And Rick, of course, they show us in the distance.
He's watching her.
Laughing and laughing and laughing.
Now, did you have the same reaction to seeing Devens laugh essentially at Lauren's expense that you did when you saw Ron had played that trick, and Ron and Julie were both basically laughing at Devens when they had set him up with the fake menu advantage that was no good? Because I didn't. I didn't have the same reaction when I saw him laughing as Lauren was exclaiming and finding her fake idol.
I don't think I did because I felt like Ron was just, his had gone over into just kind of being mean.
Yeah.
That he didn't need to do that.
Yeah, and I was the same way. I didn't perceive it the same way.
And just the way he's like, well, you know.
Yeah.
It was just different. It was a different
But I'm sure someone
feel.
saw it that way.
Well,
That it
yeah,
was
sure.
the same thing, and he was being mean and evil by celebrating the fact that he had deceived her. But it didn't end up feeling the same to me.
No, it made him a little villainous, but why wouldn't he? It's the only thing he's got out there is to do tricks like that, and why wouldn't he have some fun? And yeah, it
Certainly,
could be considered a little villainous.
Yeah, they weren't offering him anything,
Nothing
right?
from anyone.
It was all about, we're gonna get you voted out. We're gonna get you voted
Yeah,
out.
all of the people except for Chris, of course, who hasn't been there, have been painfully clear about that. Even Julie. So
Lauren is initially convinced that the survivor gods had granted her another opportunity because, in her own words, she was an idiot and wasted playing her original idol on Chris. Now she had another opportunity.
yeah, that was so weird because she seemed resentful as she was playing it, and then she resented it. It's like, but nobody forced you to do that.
Well, maybe a part of her realized that she had been deceived.
to do that. Yeah,
We'll
maybe.
find out a little more about that later. Okay, so we got the Final Five challenge. Well, that was really cool, the suspended platforms above the water. When I
Yeah.
saw that, when they were giving the above view coming in, I thought, oh yeah, someone's going in the drink.
I would have completely lost my equilibrium. I don't do well up like that and with that kind of stuff. And even though I wouldn't have been as afraid of the height, because there was water underneath. I'm terrified of heights, and so I don't think I would have done well in that regardless. I can't even walk upstairs if you can see through.
It's funny
In
that
a
you
building.
even think about or talk about you potentially doing something like that. That's not really
This would be the
in
one
an option for
clinging to something, crying and screaming over on the
I'm
side.
not sure you would have made it up the ladder.
No, I probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, so there's 6 obstacles out over the water, and then there's a bag of puzzle pieces at each station out there that they have to retrieve and bring back and then assemble a puzzle piece, which is this season's logo.
Alrighty then. That was quite detailed. Chris, of course, was the first back to get his 2 bags, and then Devon's and Julie and Gavin, and then Chris got the 3rd bag, and then Julie and Devon's, and Chris got his 4th bag.
And Probst started highlighting how much Gavin was smiling. It was like Gavin had tapped into some of that energy that Devon's found when he was running through the jungle.
Yeah,
so,
because Gavin got the 5th bag first.
so he was doing really
All of a
good.
sudden, it's like, wait a minute, how did Gavin get in the lead? But Jeff was saying, no, Gavin's back with his 5th, and now he's back with his 6th.
And now he's
he
working
can
on the puzzle.
start the puzzle
Yeah,
first.
according to Probst, he was on fire.
Yep.
And
And
Chris, dead in the water. That's how Probst described
Yeah,
his
Chris got
attempts
a
at
little
the
way
puzzle.
with the puzzle, and
He,
that was
regardless of the steak and cake, he was not able to do the puzzle.
Nope, I'm not sure he's good with puzzles, so he didn't seem to be with any of those. But it really came down to the fact that this challenge is between Rick and Gavin.
Yep.
And it was way closer than I was comfortable with.
Well, yeah, especially because Devons was behind, caught him, and then passed him to win. So, very cool.
Which is pretty amazing because he's always said, I'm not good at puzzles.
Yeah, well, then he
Just
also
really
said,
motivated.
look at my competition. If they're mediocre, I don't have to be great.
I just have to be mediocre.
Yeah.
Yes, true. Okay.
Funny moment thanks to Aurora in the last episode. Okay, back at camp.
Yay, Rick.
Gavin
Rick
says,
wins.
good job, Superman, to Devons. And Devons gives us the title of the finale episode right here. I see the $1 million. I have
Yep.
options, he tells us.
Why do you think Gavin, I don't know, Gavin seems to think he's playing better than what I think I'm seeing. Because he's like, I thought I was going to be the puzzle man today. And I mean, he's basically just saying,
Well, he's the
I
same
thought I
guy
was
that
gonna
was going to
win,
be
but-
Joe, too, right? Remember that?
yeah, no, his big thing was to beat Joe.
You're right.
It's like, well, Chris beat Joe.
Hi, meet Gavin, always a bridesmaid.
So,
And that holds, doesn't it? Huh.
yeah, and it's not that he's played a bad game or anything. He hasn't, but I don't know. I just think he thinks he played much better than
Okay, so
It
it's
seems.
time for Devons and Gavin to have a powwow, and Gavin congratulates him again. Yeah, you're doubly safe. That's cool. But what did you think about Devon's proposal here? If you can guarantee me final 3, so I don't have to do the fire challenge. If you win tomorrow, then I'll play the idol for you.
Well, Rick's got nothing to lose by doing it. Nothing.
The idols
He
have to
can't
be
use
played.
it.
This is the last time they can be
Have
played.
to be played. There's no reason to keep it.
He's looking for some insurance.
He might get some goodwill. The odds are not going to happen, and he knows it. You know he knows it. The Gavin, even though he promises, he probably would vote him out anyway. And I don't think Rick would be surprised by that, but he probably would try to guilt him. He's looking for any little bit of leverage.
So I liked
He can
it.
find.
He knows Chris is safe.
Yes.
He knows he's safe. He won immunity.
Yeah.
So trying to buy some insurance against the fire making challenge
Perfect.
seemed like it made good sense. And Gavin tells us though that, well, I'm not here to make promises, here to win. So I'll say it. I'll tell him what he wants to hear, but I may have
Yeah.
to do something different tomorrow.
Well, which is also
no fault with that.
smart play with
Yes.
Gavin. He
Although
doesn't-
he always kind of looks like he's in low gear. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
that he's giving the affirmation that he thinks he is. Because we're and of course we have the benefit of watching and not being under the strenuous circumstances they're in. But all through the season, I've always had the sense that he's in low gear, and things aren't running quite as quick for him as they are for some of the others. That could just be a trick of the editing too, though.
Okay, so Lauren's had time to think about this idol thing, and she tells Gavin and Julie, let's vote Chris. She figures one of those 3 idols is fake. Mm-hmm. And so she's thinking,
Chris
let's
has got
just
to go.
Agree to go after Chris.
Since we can't get Devins, yes,
yeah,
let's
get rid of him. And then she goes to try to neutralize Chris. She goes and tells him, let's vote Julie. So you and me and Gavin, we'll vote Julie. Mm-hmm. So to get his vote on Julie. And of course, Chris agrees to vote Julie. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But he also knows that he could be the vote.
Yeah. Well, he said something interesting, too. He said Julie's a social threat, along with also acknowledging that he was pretty confident. Chris said he was confident he could beat Devins on fire if it were to come to that.
Well, Rick's the one that told Chris, Lauren's the more strategic, we need to vote her out. Mm-hmm. And Chris apparently let him make that choice, right?
Uh-huh.
But Chris was kind of straddling the fence between Rick and Lauren. So I wasn't sure what he was going to do at that point.
Well, the main thing that he said out loud, at least, is that he had to get on the same page with Devin. So they had a quick powwow. And Devins is just tickled because he says everybody's going to think they're safe tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, the way it's looking, everyone's going to play idols.
Well, it made me look forward to Tribal Council number 2. Here we go.
Night 37. Devin's 4th individual immunity win, so he is safe. But he tells us his back is to the wall, and he feels driven. That's why he's been able to pull out and win these challenges when he gets his first question from Probst.
And Chris tells Jeff he sure hopes his relationships work for him.
Yeah, because he needed to win, and he didn't.
Yep.
Which is good, right? Because he's going to sucker him in. He's going to get to play the what he now has as the immunity idol.
Well, what do you think Lauren's point was? Obviously, she's telling Chris they're voting for him, I think, because she's talking about, well, Chris says he'll go up against Rick making fire, but if Rick wins, that means I may be going up against him.
So I don't want to do that.
She's like, no, I don't want to go up against Chris making fire. And Julie's like, I don't want to either. So I think they were just trying to explain their vote for him. Mm. And
well, then he says that he took a gamble, and the if that he had to deal with was whether or not Lauren would play that idol for him. So he turned her.
She's already played the idol.
I know. He's explaining what the if for him was, because for her, she described that as a big if. If Rick wins, then I have to face Chris in fire making potentially. And he said, well, my big if came last round when I had to bank on her playing that idol for me.
Again, I thought
that rattled her, though.
Yeah, Gavin was kind of awkward. I know he's working the jury, which is what he's supposed to be doing, but it seemed kind of awkward about him explaining that, well, I almost have 3 wins under my belt. I almost did today. It's just Rick just came a little bit ahead of me, and so I thought, yeah, but that makes it 4-2, Gavin.
Yeah.
Well, that's way different from 3-3.
Yeah, he would have drawn even with
3-3 didn't happen.
And it's true, he was close.
He was, but no
Devins
cigar.
caught him and passed him, so.
That's right.
Maybe not quite the same.
Well, I just thought, okay, I see what point you're trying to make. And he's trying to say, I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid to go up against him. I can win, too.
I like that point, but it started to, for us at least, watching from the outside.
It faded somewhere along the way.
Yeah, we're left with the impression of you constantly overestimate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what it did. And that the jury's like, yeah, but it was, it's 4-2 now.
And then it was Yeah, and then it was time to vote, which means it's time for idols.
Yep.
Almost like an
So
island
they
of idols.
hold back,
Yeah.
and Julie jumps in first. Okay, she's gonna play her idol first.
She says
this
she doesn't
is
think
for me, Jeff.
she doesn't really think she needs it, but just in case.
Well, I don't think I'm in jeopardy, but just in case.
Yeah, Jeff lets her get back over there to sit down, and then he announces that this is indeed fake, which gets some laughs from the jury.
Yes, and makes Julie's face red. So Lauren's like, well, okay, let's go see how this one works for me.
Right.
She's thinking, oh, Julie got the fake one. Shoo.
Yeah, I'm in the clear.
so glad I'm good. I play mine.
I didn't really think about it like that at the time, but I think you're right. She probably was
Julie
thinking
go
that.
first. Oh, good. She played her
She got the fake.
idol. I don't have to worry about looking stupid.
Right.
I'll go play mine now.
And Probst lets her get
And
back.
it's fake too.
Yeah, and which got even more laughs from the jury.
Yes, and I think Lauren was trying to cover up how much that embarrassed her.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like she was by laughing, and it seemed unlike her. But anyway, okay, so now Rick grandstands, gets up, goes, well, I'm going to play my idol for Gavin.
Did you perceive it that way, as grandstanding, putting on a show?
He was putting on a show, but I didn't find it unappealing. I enjoyed it.
It wasn't over the top to me, so when you described it that way, that's why I was asking.
Well, I think that's how the jury would see. Here he goes again. What's he gonna do? He's got on a necklace.
Chris plays like he's disappointed in Devins for doing that.
He said, dude. Yeah. She's got him saying, dude. And he's like, dude, serious, man? And then Gavin's all smiles like, yeah, I'm
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Like he did
See
something.
how I played?
Yeah.
And then
It's my
Chris
subtle game.
pops up and plays his idol.
Yep. I hate to poop on everyone's parade, he says, but let me go ahead and play this.
Groans.
Yeah, Julie was very frustrated at this
Jeff,
point.
anybody else? It's like there's only the jury left, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, unless Gavin happened to have one too, but
That would have been great if someone over in the jury had said,
well, I thought about Aubrey, Jeff, or Kelly.
Or War
I have
Dog.
one. I have
Somebody
one.
being a smart aleck.
And
Okay, so we get 3 votes for Chris.
yeah, so they were after him.
Yep, he saved himself, and then 2 for Lauren. And she turns and says, really well played to Rick Devins. She did not give Chris any credit.
None.
Yeah, she knew who had done the majority of the work there.
Well, and the idol was given to him. He didn't find it. Gavin pointed that out in the final, but that was true, but still.
I don't know that she knew that at that point, but
No,
I think
she
she might have been acknowledging the fact that, he didn't make one fake idol, he made 2. And he did this other thing. She's just looking at him and going, "Oh my goodness, yeah, yep." So she tells him good luck, and she's off.
Both and made them look so real. So good on you, Devins.
Yep, we're excited about Devins at this point, still for sure. That train was still chugging along, wasn't it?
Yep. And up comes the next immunity challenge.
Final 4 immunity challenge. Man, what a tough one.
Oh yeah, walking across that rocking thing. Oh.
Yeah, so it's like one part of a rocker that you have to stand on, and you have to balance the blocks and spell out final 3 vertically and keep them balanced as you move along that rocker block. Wow, that looked really tough.
Well, and they all started out in a hurry and realized right off, you're not going anywhere. The faster you move, the less ground you're going to make, because it just did not work.
Yeah, we got drops right on the first block.
Oh, yeah. 2 drops right out the gate.
But Julie started off doing really well, and I thought, well, that's true. There's the least of her.
Yep.
So actually, this would be one where the bigger guys might be at a disadvantage in being able to move that more easily. Mm-hmm. And it certainly looked like Devin was having a lot of trouble with that. He was probably the heaviest guy out there.
So everybody slows down and chase Julie.
Yeah.
Julie got 4. Chris had 3 blocks. Then Julie drops, and then Chris got 4. And then Rick had 3, and then he drops.
Man, Chris went into slow motion.
He did.
He was like going frame by frame mode there. And then he just built it up and got a lock on it.
What'd you think when he was saying things like, calm your legs down.
Yeah.
Stop freaking out.
Talked himself through it.
Out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see most people do that in their head, but he was talking out loud.
Yeah.
I guess maybe he did that for the TV, so we'd all know what was going on in his head.
Wow, Devins just could not get anything going. I don't know, did he ever get more than one block? Did he ever make it back with 2? It's just like every time he moved, he knocked one over.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought, he's out of this.
Not his challenge.
Not his challenge at all. Julie almost made her way back.
Yep.
But Chris
Then she dumped
wins.
at the end and gave him a clear shot at the win.
Yep.
And he did. Slowly but surely, he inched both his feet back to get behind the blue line and won.
Yep. And
cementing his presence in the final 3, it looked like.
I was shocked by this. I was like, oh my gosh. He just got into the final 3.
He's really making a run for it. Yeah. So I think at this point, my thought was you couldn't have asked for more from someone that returned. Given how the season is set up and the theme and all that and what he's doing, how he's making the most of every turn, just the way Devins has been that way, even though he's been the underdog for so long. But Chris had a super limited amount of time and a limited amount to work with. Now, he did have the split advantage and all that, but it worked out well.
It did, and now
he's won to put himself in final 3.
Yep,
He's
got that under his belt.
I still didn't think that if he went to the finals with Devins, he would win, though. Even though he had just won this.
I don't think
to lock
he would
in the
have.
final 3.
I still don't think he would have. I was hoping that Jeff would poll the jury about that, but I really don't know that they had to. I really do think if Rick had gotten there.
Chris tells us in a quick confessional that he is playing to win, and that's how he's going to make his decision for who sits with him and who has to do the fire battle.
I knew.
Knew what?
That he was not going to pick Rick.
Oh, yeah.
To go with him.
He's essentially saying that. By saying, I'm playing to win, he's saying, I don't want to sit across from Rick Devins.
I'm not playing for second place.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Rick has to make fire. That's just weird.
And I made a note to myself. I wrote, who will he take? And then easy, Julie. He takes Julie to be with him, and he has Gavin and Devins square off in a fire-making challenge.
We said that absolutely first next commercial break. It's like, oh, yeah, absolutely, it's Julie.
All right, we get a quick shot of some bats hanging upside down, and we're back at camp there at Vada on day 38. And Devins is trying to figure out how this is going to play out. Chris has control.
Yep.
And he looks and he says, there's some tools for us to practice making fire.
And
Chris announces that he'll talk to everyone, which you would expect because they got to make a pitch, right?
Yep. But they all should practice making fire.
All right, so Devins pleads his case. He says, I've been loyal. And Chris responds with, did you practice making fire before you came out here? So that's pretty much everything Devins needed to know about his chance at getting a pass at fire making.
Well, and then he just said it. I'm afraid you have to make fire tonight.
Yes.
And that's good on Chris for his gameplay, even though my heart did a little sink.
Yep.
But I was still sure that Rick could pull it out. I was just sure he could beat whoever. I was sure he could beat Gavin. I was sure he could beat Victoria.
Julie.
Though, was it Julie? I meant Julie.
Mm-hmm.
And he might not could have beat Victoria in fire because she tended the fire a lot. So she might have been making it just to be ready.
Are you trying to cover for goofing on Victoria there?
No, that just made me think of that.
Okay. If you say so. Hey,
Okay.
Gavin's very upfront with
Are
Chris.
you accusing
He
me?
says, I need help with this fire thing. So Chris demos it and gives him some guidance and teaches him. Then he turns around and he does the same thing for Julie. He tells us he's going to have to pick whoever looks like they got the best chance of beating Devins.
Well, obviously it must not have been very good since he decided to do it himself.
You just can't help yourself, huh? You're going to
I
skip right
can't.
to it. I
Dang it.
liked how Gavin and Julie both said, "Look, I'm willing to step up and earn my way there." I think that probably had an
Yes,
impact on
yes,
Chris
I
too.
do, yeah.
I think it influenced him, which is one of the reasons I don't want to skip over it, because I think that factored into his decision. Seeing
Yeah.
their willingness like that
Well,
started working on Chris a little.
and he needed to do his best to eliminate Rick because I don't believe he believed he could beat Rick. So he must know what the jury was thinking. And I thought, I think that he knows if he goes there with Rick, he doesn't win.
We get some great montages of them all practicing fire. Devins tells us, "Look, I don't care who it is. I don't care who I face."
Just gonna worry about what I'm doing.
Yep, and we see him getting fire. We even see Julie and Gavin. They're getting fire multiple times. So it looks like folks are prepared. Chris tells us that you got to trust your gut. These are high stakes.
All right, off to tribal council.
Probst hits Chris with the first question. Well, he starts with a statement. You've secured final 3. Edge of extinction got you here. How do you feel about where you are, basically?
Well, and Julie says she doesn't want to plead her case. She wants to prove herself. And Gavin's like, don't choose me. I want to make fire against Rick and prove myself.
I love Devins jumped in. He's like, wait a second. Julie doesn't want to be chosen. Gavin doesn't want to be chosen. They want to make fire. He says, this is perfect. Let's let them make fire. Come on, Chris. I think he gets to try that line a couple times, right?
Hey, at least he keeps trying.
And then Chris lets us in on where his head's at. He said he spent some time at the beach and he's been thinking about it all day. He's basically decided that he doesn't want to have any regrets. He wants to win by taking down the best. And he gives his necklace to Julie and announces that he's going to face off against Devins in the fire-making challenge.
He wants to earn it.
Yep.
And because I think he thinks he's the only one that can take him down.
After watching him practice.
And that it will really boost him to the top after all these weeks and weeks and weeks that everybody's been trying to take Devins, and if he takes him out.
Right. So where Dominic struggled with this, and he said that he had considered doing this
Yep.
against Wendell. It's a different circumstance, different set of circumstances for Chris, in that he's got this super limited amount of time to build a resume. Because nothing significant really happened while he was in the first part of the game, so it's really all come down to this. And as far as he can see, it's clear I don't stand a chance unless I take him out. And that's my only path forward. So he takes a humongous risk. Could end up looking like a complete doofus.
That's true.
For giving the necklace to Julie, basically giving Julie and Gavin a pass to final 3, guaranteed, and faces off with Devins to make fire. Probst tells us that because the winds are so high, they're going to have to move the fire-making challenge up into the voting confessional booth, and that not everyone's going to be able to witness it. And so he will give commentary, to keep them posted as to the progress.
Well, and I have to admire his all or nothing gamble,
Oh, absolutely.
but I don't know.
Well, we're torn
How
because
smart I
we were
thought it
so invested at this point in Devins.
And I had convinced myself he could beat either one of them, Gavin or Julie.
Yeah, I think that's probably
I even thought he could beat Chris.
was the case. Well, yeah, you could tell even
At the
Devins was
start,
probably
but-
a little confused at the announcement and how it played out. But then he's
Yeah, it might have thrown him
Resolve.
off his game a little bit.
here's the takeaway, right? Is that for him it was a lot of practice that day. Mm-hmm. So he had done it, but you got to be you got to be wondering, did you really put enough into this with as important as this is? And you knew it was the possibility. Hey, good on you for trying to convince Gavin, if he won, to keep you out, to get a little insurance by playing an idol for him.
Yeah, but there was a reason he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
He did not feel prepared.
You could see that when they started out. You could see that Chris was better at this than Devin.
Well, than
he got
fired. So yeah,
fired quickly. I mean, it both went out for him initially, but then Chris got his and was able to really start working it, stoke it. Devin's made a little bit of a comeback at the end, but it was really nowhere. It wasn't even close. So Chris won and took Devin's down. To his credit, phenomenal. If you're going to come back in, this has to be. You have to be amazing, and this was.
Yeah.
This was historic.
Right, it was. Jeff said so, and Chris said, I want to be the one to take down the best player of this season.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, well, that should win you some points.
He did it, and I was sad and happy at the same time. I was really sad to see Devins not be able to fulfill that dream for fighting so hard, so long. And, enjoying being there and cheering for him.
Yeah.
And then also excited for Chris because, wow, I didn't think the person from Edge of Extinction really had a chance coming back at this point unless it was Joe.
Well, and especially since he went out so early.
He played so smart and put all these steps together. Now, he didn't do it unaided. People were helping him, and he made
even Rick
alliances. Yeah, so but wow, good on you, brother. That was a fine display of fire making skills. And there's going to be people who still go out there and don't have that. So you got Devins, you got Julie, you got Gavin. They're there at Final Four, and none of them are confident in their ability. They have not put the work in.
Well, we will see it.
If you know you're going on Survivor, there's one thing that you can do. You can control this. And you can, and not just once and not in your grill and call it good. You do it 100 times. You really work on it, and you understand the dynamics of making the nest for the ember, how important it is to rough up that coconut husk to get those fine grains, to build a place for that ember to grow, how important it is to pool your magnesium, all these things that if you practice that skill, I mean, you owe it to yourself. And here we got 3 people again, and as phenomenal a game as Devin's played, he failed himself in this step in going out there.
Well, what did you think about Rick saying that he didn't come to learn anything about himself? He only came for the money, period. But that he was going home a better dad and husband. But he was really only there to win the money.
Yes, I like that. And I think
that was honest.
It was, well, I think it was a little bit of a pushback on the hokum of, and how did you feel? And what did you learn? Mm-hmm. And having to sit through all these, this is what I learned. I'm already a winner. I'm already strong. I just had to come out here to do this. Now, Julia's is a little different with dealing with her grief and stuff like that. But his is, I was here just bluntly to win. That's what it was all about. Hey, I got these other things, and that's great. But I came to win. I didn't win. So, yeah,
well,
I got to deal with that.
the jury clapped for him, and then he joins them.
Yes, he got an ovation, didn't he?
Final jury member, Rick Devins. Darn.
I loved his little. They gave him a little moment, right? Because did Lauren get one? Did Victoria get one? I don't think so.
You talking about Jeff?
After the vote
at the live
out.
show?
No.
Oh.
Where they went after Devins got voted out. They had the after the vote out moment with him there in Fiji, where he goes da 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 da, and he does his little newsman thing again.
Yeah.
So I like this just in. Yeah, Chris burned his string and broke my heart. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
But back to the live reunion, Jeff does bring Rick out.
Yeah.
The audience gives him a standing ovation.
Very nice.
Yes, very nice. And Jeff's hair is still wonky.
I made a note again. I'm like, what's up with Prope's hair?
Completely distracted us.
It did.
So what did Jeff do? What is
You
he
overdid-
napping in between?
You
what?
overdid the moose, brother. Yeah.
And a sweatshirt, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're having rain in
cash.
California right now,
It's
but
cash.
it's,
Proofs is all cash.
that's a little
California
bit too cash.
Yeah. He did seem a bit subdued.
It's like,
huh?
Jeff, I like all your pretty little shirts and things.
So he hits him with a question: is it gameplay betrayal? And Devin's like, yeah, it's a little bit of both. And then he tries to. I liked what Probst did here. He's basically shopping Devins around. He's like trying to get him a better
he
job.
He did that for Cochran, and look what it got him.
Yep. So he asks Devins, are you open to moving into a bigger market? You're in a great little market there in Macon. Would you move? And Devin says, well, I'm asking my bosses to turn away for a moment right now. Yes, I am.
Yes, I would be willing to move
to this
yes,
possibility.
I would.
So that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I
Probst
do like that.
gave him that moment, basically, to say that.
Which means Jeff really likes him.
Yes, put his resume out there.
Because he would not do that if he didn't.
Yep, we're back at Vada. It's the morning of day 39.
Breakfast.
Time for the breakfast, which has got Julie squealing.
Eggs and bacon and fruit and what they say, pancake mix, champagne. Goodness.
And this is where each of them make their case to us, the viewer, in by way of their confessionals after they partake of their wonderful last morning breakfast. And Julie says that she's proven that she's strong and she wanted to be a role model, and even though she cried and leaned on everyone, that was how she used her vulnerability and her perceived weakness to build relationships, and she was going to prove it tonight. What did you think about that?
I only heard, I spent a lot of time making relationships.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I spent a lot of time crying.
No.
Which is
no,
really,
that's kind of all I heard her say, and I thought,
yeah.
okay.
My
Moving
thought,
along.
Yeah, my thought was next. I heard all I want to hear from you.
And it surprised me, Chris already spending the money.
Yes.
He thinks that got him the win 100%.
Yeah.
And
Gonna buy a
he's
sailboat.
going to sail literally on through this show, and he wants to buy a boat and take his family around the world.
I don't disagree with his assessment of himself right here, though. He said that
No, I didn't either at that
Edge of
point.
Extinction made me, and in 3 days I played a better game than these two other players, and they had 38 to do it.
That's right.
So
And,
Gavin seemed weak to me, too. I get that it was he had made these vows, and he's doing these things for his wife and provides, and I can relate to all that. I mean, I've felt those same things and everything, but that doesn't make a winning survivor story.
Yeah, but he's like, I have seized every opportunity. I was so socially aware
I didn't ride coattails. Ooh,
that
you felt the need to say
I
that?
saw where to move my votes around.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, you jumped over the fence so much, I'm surprised you can even move.
Yeah.
You should be exhausted from
His
from the
extensive
fence
social
jumping.
awareness. We didn't get to see either of that.
And I
Not Julie, not Gavin.
believe he truly feels that way.
Sure. But it's in keeping with the I overestimate myself theory that we had.
But what does he think now is what I'd like to know, that you've seen your edit.
Yeah. I mean,
How do you feel about your game after
if he's
watching
Dunning
your
Kruger,
edit?
he's not going to own it because those people aren't able to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. He
I
doesn't
don't
seem
think
like
he
he's
played
that
a
bad.
bad game at all. And he did make some friends, and he was, as they pointed out in the final tribal, the only person not to receive a vote. I thought, okay, that's something, but I don't know that it makes you a winner if you did enough to be a satisfying winner for me.
Yeah, no, I'm not
I
feeling
thought,
it at all.
if-
Well, this is why we were so banking on Devins too, because these other three seemed like, or four seemed like duds, without a story, and then when these two are making their case, when Gavin and Julie are saying these things, we're thinking, yeah, no.
It's like, no, Chris is now our option.
The only thing appealing to you and me at this point when they cut to commercial was we said, hey, maybe we can get some points off Julie.
It's the only chance we had left.
She's going to goad her way into third, I think.
We're like high-fiving all over the place.
Yeah.
Hey, we still might get a point off Julie.
Yes. As long as she comes in third.
Which, yeah. We're like, don't vote for Julie.
Okay, Tribal Council Night 39. Probst tells him, you've gone as far as you can go. Now we need to turn it over to the jury. Let's talk first about outwitting. Emotional intelligence. He says ethics and morals, if that's how you played your game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I liked was Rick was still acting when he came in, when the jury walked in, and he's frowning like he's...
And then he popped a smile.
And then he looked over at Chris and smiled.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I thought that was cute. Yes, outwit part, David starts it off.
The most important relationship for each of them.
Yep. And Gavin tells us Victoria was his strongest ally. I believe that to be accurate from what the edit showed us.
This is a little strange. Chris used... Yeah, there was no doubt about that one. Chris used his opportunity to get a dig on Rick. Because he said, well, the most important relationship for me was with Rick, and then he voted me out. So that's what he had.
But
and
then
Julie's,
he worked with him again.
Julie's was clear too, right? She said Ron.
Oh, yeah.
We expected that. Here's what I wanted one of those two to say, especially Julie, if she had been aware. I wonder if this actually happened, but if this would have been a great point to thank Joe, to say, well, look, Joe threw us all on his back and carried us through the first half of the game, basically.
Well,
and especially me, because he carried me all the way to the merge. Even after the shuffle, we were winning because of Joe. And that might not have been the most important relationship, but I wouldn't be here if things had gone, if I didn't have the benefit of Joe.
I thought she should have said it. Chris pointed out something a little ways, we're not there yet, but about her not even going to tribal council till day 17, and I would have said because of Joe.
Yeah.
That was all because of Joe, and I have to thank you for that, Joe, because he's right. You know, I didn't really have to play because you kept our team going or something, you know, still work the jury.
They missed a big opportunity there with that, because so many people, right, especially the Lesu folks, were like, it must be great to have Joe to carry you through all these things.
Well, and you can tell that Julie thought it was a big secret that, you know, she had a secret bond with Lauren that they didn't let people know about, but thought, I think people thought about it. Okay, then Aubrey asks how strategic were they about their social relationships.
Well, she asked about the edge of extinction, right, and how that affected
to Chris, And he talks about having cooked breakfast for everyone in the mornings. And
be a provider.
Nobody seemed really very impressed with that answer, did they?
No, the way this was edited, you weren't clear. And this is okay. This is fine. But you didn't get the sense that anyone was really making points.
Well, and this
except
is where,
bad points when Chris spoke up.
Yeah, Gavin talked about he had built social relationships, etc. And that's when Chris chimed in and said, as a goat, Gavin?
Yeah, were you in? Well, and it was a lame question, too, because he didn't frame it the best he could have. It was, did you feel you were in charge or as a goat? Which is, it's a dig saying you're a goat. Yeah. And then, of course, Gavin just chooses the other option, which supposedly makes him feel good, in charge. And Wentworth and Lauren both jump on Chris for asking questions.
Kelly just said, you offended me.
Which
you need to allow the jury to ask the questions.
That.
And Lauren just agreed, I think.
I lost respect for Wentworth and Lauren when they said that.
Let the jury ask the questions.
I'm offended. Okay, fine. I'm Chris.
You don't get to ask the questions.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he might have lost it these first.
He showed contrition. He bowed his head and stopped talking. So that was smart.
That was my thought. Shut up.
He knew when to shut up. Some people have trouble with that.
Well, he took it on for a little while. And Julie talked about all her great social relationships. And then Joe asked about emotions as a strategy.
Well, I don't know that he asked that. He basically said, "Well, it's okay to feel your emotions, but how is you're trying to present that as you turned your weakness into a strength?" And she starts, and Julia's not having any of it. Really?
Yeah.
That was your strength?
Well, she was the catalyst for the Julia vote out. If it wasn't for her, she got the conversations going.
Yeah, and she got that courtesy of Victoria, who jumped in and said, "Well, what was your big move, Julie? How did you do it?" And that's when she claimed the Julia vote out. And Warthog says, "I beg to differ." Yeah, so
Yeah.
Rick and Warthog both played a very significant role there. And she was basically coattail riding on their work, trying to claim credit for it.
Well, and I felt like Gavin. He talked about, Aubrey and Joe their vote offs being he had to separate his feelings from his heart in order to vote. And I thought, I think that just feels like you're still
Well, Aubrey didn't buy it at all.
courting their votes.
Yeah, Aubrey
Somehow.
wasn't having that at all.
She wasn't having any of it because he was.
Although she then backpedaled and said, "Look, you guys keep fighting. It may seem like you're not making any headway here."
Yeah,
but
say what you need to say, and he's right. He did at least speak to me. He did talk to me. That's about it. But
what did you think about Rick's question about hunting for idols when he asked Julie, "Why weren't you doing it?" And Gavin, and she said she was, but no, I don't. Yeah,
I
she
don't
did at
think
the
she
end
did.
out of pure desperation. And you know what? Gavin owned it. He said, "Well, I didn't really have to. I had the numbers. Didn't win you any points.
that was kind of arrogant, I thought.
Didn't win you any. I don't think arrogance is the right way to characterize it, but it was. That was his reality.
Flaunting I didn't need to.
No, he didn't say it that
I
way.
had a good enough social game.
Was it
I
James
didn't really need
tone?
to.
Yeah, he didn't have that tone. Yeah.
We never forget that because that was so profound. James saying, "Well, as my girlfriend says," he said, "she says it's in my tone."
Mm-hmm.
And we never did forget that.
Well, it's because we had lots of our own discussions about tone and still do.
Don't use that tone with me ever
Yeah.
since then. So thanks, James.
Yeah. But yeah, Gavin said he didn't have to hunt for things because he had idols, which, okay, good on you for owning it. The flip side of that is
Not that he had idols, he didn't need them.
he had numbers.
Oh, I thought you said idols. Okay, Chris takes credit for Lauren playing her idol, which she seems to want to.
She's a little offended, so she challenges it, and then it seemed to me like he put her in her place.
Well, by saying the technique that he used, it's a
Yes.
sales technique.
Right.
And I used it on you, and then she tipped her head at him, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
So,
okay, played
Ron-
me like a fiddle.
Ron seemed like he was jumping to Lauren's defense and to help her launch a counterattack on him, but then they both backpedaled off. That was how I read
Yep. And Julie basically just deflected the question, I think, by saying, "Hey, I found an idol just because it was a fake one, but I found one," which made Rick
Well, she said she
smile.
looked, and she said all that screaming you heard with her in the jungle, which we didn't get any of, could be because she never
Screaming when
found
she
anything.
found it, but maybe that's why she didn't think they'd pay any attention to her screaming, because she did it all the time with
Oh,
bugs,
that could be it.
bugs and stuff.
Yeah, except I doubt she screamed for Lauren.
Well, and then Gavin again, which I still thought was a little bit arrogant, but he said, he didn't have a need to search because he was in on every vote. And I thought, every vote?
What did you think about Gavin's choice to say that Chris had an unfair advantage?
Because he didn't play in the game? Is that what you mean?
Coming from the edge of Extinction and how he got to slip back in at the end.
Well,
that was an
and
unfair
then
advantage
he
and had the
discounted.
idol. And,
Yeah, he said, you didn't find the idol. It was given to you. So, that's not to your credits, basically.
do you think that
what he's
was
saying.
unfair? What do you think in the scheme
no,
of things?
I don't think it's unfair.
I can
It's
see how
final
Gavin
travel.
would feel that way.
Well, it's final travel. So, hey, say whatever you can to make points and
No, I was asking you, do you think it was an unfair advantage that Chris got to come back in and he got the split idol and had information and had that time with the jury and hadn't had to play the game and hadn't had to endure, like Devins pointed out on Gavin's behalf, that he didn't have to go through all the stress of constantly worrying about being voted out while Gavin was there playing the game.
Well, I can't even remember where you started with that question, but the fact is that it was the game, so it was a moot point. It was how the game worked.
They were arguing a little bit about what Classic Survivor really was.
Yes, they were. But again, I think someone on the jury, maybe it was Julia, shut that down. And
It was
just
War
said,
Dog.
Oh, it was a War Dog. It's like, that aside, just answer the question.
Yeah.
Because that's not up for debate here. Wasn't our choice how the game was played. So.
Yeah, Devins did try to give Gavin some points there with asking about the who never had their name written down. And I thought, okay, big deal. So no one ever thought you were a threat.
Yeah.
Is that
stupid.
really to your credit? It could be.
Or you weren't a threat?
But you'd have to have a story. Yeah, it turns out you really weren't a threat. So you got to be careful. That's a really
I did kind of think
multi-edged
he was, and they should have looked at him
statement.
more than they did. But that's what makes me think that the girls he worked with all thought he was just doing what they said. But who knows? Maybe he let them think that.
I think he certainly had an active role in the Aubrey takedown, and he, to his credit, Aubrey even gave him that credit. He had reached out and offered to work with her, at least talk with her from that perspective when everyone else was shutting Aubrey out.
Yeah, and Gavin, you knew he was going to play the
wife
the
card.
wife card and all of that. And
Yep.
I'm just here to honor and provide for my wife. And you could see he had Joe's sympathy. Yeah, because as we know, Joe is in love. And so, I think he related to that, though I don't know
Well,
that it bought him any real points.
Anyone in a provider role is going to relate to what
Exactly.
he's talking about, so that's not necessarily a bad choice.
Then Chris talked some more about, he knew the odds were against him and he had to do every move correctly. He didn't say perfectly.
He had already owned not having the perfect
That's
game.
right. Though correctly could have been a replacement for perfectly, but
And I don't fault him at all for saying, yes, and I'm the first to give up immunity and to earn my way here. So,
well, I liked that he said, "I'm happy with whatever you guys decide."
yeah, I thought he could have left that out.
And I could hear
You don't need to say that.
I could hear Victoria going, "Yeah, right." Sure you are. Just like you'd be okay if we voted you out tomorrow. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and Julie said she's not an aggressive player and she doesn't like confrontation, but she was very thankful that you were all respectful to all three of us, and I learned how strong I am.
Yet, at that point, I'm thinking she got everything she needed from the game.
Yep, time to vote.
A vote's not one of those things.
First time 13 jury members voted. I think. I don't remember 13 before. But
Yeah, no, definitely. Never had a jury this big.
And the final three hug each other. And Jeff basically says, "See you in L.A. for the live reading of the votes."
Probst went back to that War Dog quote, "The theme is not on trial, you three are." He liked that a lot, huh? All right, time to vote. And they draw even on the first four. So 4 for Gavin, 4 for Chris.
We're at the live reunion now.
Yep. So no surprise, Julie's getting no votes. And then 5 and 6 come in. Chris has 1.
Woo!
Edge of Extinction.
That made me feel better. I kind of relaxed after that because, if Rick couldn't win, I would rather have Chris win over Gavin and Julie.
Given his performance, now you could certainly say unfair advantage, I guess, the way it all played out. But this is the parameters of the game, the way they set up,
That's
what
right.
Probst kept describing as their experiment this season.
And he did it well. What little of it there was, he still did it well. So,
He did indeed.
and
Yep.
so the votes for Gavin, were you surprised he got 4?
Yeah, I was. I was thinking, oh, this might be unanimous, given that I don't think those were. I don't think Gavin or Julie really had a good showing. I wasn't sure how good Chris's was, But I still was left with the impression, because coming in to the finale, I didn't think Gavin and Julie had much to say, neither Lauren nor Victoria. That's why it was so easy to get behind Devon's.
Well,
They never invested us in Gavin, Julie, or Victoria. We never had any reason to really like them.
well, I was actually thought Julie might get a vote from Ron.
You can, yes, and you can never tell what people are thinking, because so many times we get sort of blindsided by the social game. Like they said, it's very difficult to demonstrate the social game. That's one thing that the edit hasn't really cracked.
Well, and they did make me a little tense, taking it all the way to 4-4. I
Yeah,
was like, oh.
definitely built
But-
some tension there.
Then I knew when they did a couple for Chris. It's like, oh, thank goodness. So the people that voted for Gavin were Aurora, Lauren, Rick, and Kelly.
Now, Rick, as we noted, said, "I will not write your name down," and he is a man of his word, isn't he? He really did. My initial thought was, he's a little bitter. He's a little bitter.
Yeah, well, it's Raw.
And I don't know that I can blame him at all.
No, he just got sent out the night before. He's had no time to process.
Right.
That was just the night before, and so he didn't
So
have
I
a
understand.
whole lot.
I understand it. And because he didn't really have Ponderosa time to process, then
Yes.
yep, I can see what was going on with the Lauren and Wentworth votes. You think? Like they had voted him out. They had already worked against him. And he pulled a number on Lauren. He
Yeah,
got
I
her to
think
play
that was-
that idol, which is only to his benefit, and
Yeah.
then knocked her out in the next opportunity. So you think she's a little, and maybe Wentworth was just tagging along?
I don't know. I'm sure they talked about things, and possibly Lauren told Kelly the things he said that she said to tell her.
Yeah,
tell
so they
Lauren,
could have
and
stoked each
maybe
other.
she didn't
Yes.
say everything
Right.
that he told her. Or Aurora, I'm not surprised at, because she didn't know Chris. Though I thought she liked Julie, but,
Yeah.
she got voted out. So
uh,
I guess she didn't hold it against Gavin.
I'm not even gonna try to figure out what Aurora was thinking. She was just such a wackadoodle in the game that I don't know. There's no upside to trying to understand
Yep.
how she threw a vote Gavin's way, as far as I'm concerned.
But Chris got the votes of Reem, Julia, Eric, Aubrey, David, Joe, War Dog, Vic, and Ron.
Yeah, so not even Ron was going to throw one Julie's way in light of what Chris delivered. So, and Ron had certainly had some time to process stuff there on Edge of Extinction, so and maybe he did do a good job of convincing Ron when Lauren said, yeah, he played me like a fiddle. That's the kind of thing that Ron would appreciate.
Yeah.
Given the little insight we've had into Ron, it would seem.
Okay, so Chris wins. Jeff talks to Chris and said to him that Devin's honored loyalty and he kept you in.
Mm-hmm.
Does it haunt you to do that to Rick? And I don't, did you, I just thought that was kind of a strange question to put it that way. Did it haunt you?
I think Probst was a bit of a Devons fan, so I think that might be a little,
okay.
little bit behind that.
Devins
Yeah.
was such a good player, and he would have done whatever he had to. So maybe that was just his way to give Rick another moment and to question Chris about, did it bother you
You have any
later that you turned on him?
survivor guilt?
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was a little bit out of the blue.
But Devons is fine. He's happy to be his friend, especially now that he won $1 million. Okay, so you did a good job of sort of tracking during the short reunion. Again, it's an abbreviated reunion show, just the last half hour.
Yep.
And really only like maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes with the cast, because he's got to do the next season.
Yeah.
And then you got commercials that they do a lot of commercials at the end because they do those fake returns twice.
I believe he actually spoke to everyone, even if just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke to everyone except Keith.
Yes, that seemed to be the case.
I mean,
which was
Wendy, I
fine
understand
with
she
me.
had a storyline, and but
Well, my first thought
probably
about
wouldn't
seeing
have.
Keith and Wendy there was that they shouldn't have been there, but it did give an opportunity to highlight something that like we learned through about Tourette's with Wendy,
Yes.
and that we learned from the SFP
and that
fans.
was a good thing.
Right, so it was good for us, and it was good for her, and she was happy
Yeah.
with that. So okay,
And I don't know that they really had that much
And
to
he
say
didn't-
to her about Keith.
he didn't give some people the opportunity to talk. He just
To
said
speak,
things
yeah.
to them,
Right.
which I got to grade him overall on this. This is another improvement.
Yeah.
Because there was inclusion where he had just passed over so many castaways
Yes,
for so many.
it was good. Any
seasons.
inclusion like that, it was
And
very
it's just
good.
that simple. That's the kind of thing that you didn't have to spend time on everyone, and you didn't have to do all the crazy things in the audience. So I think this was an improved reunion show because he
Yeah, it was.
he was able to spread it around.
I have
He just
said-
missed some good questions. but-
Yeah, no problem with the last two reunion shows. I thought they were done well. I liked David's analogy about Edge of Extinction was like going to a restaurant with no food, but you left with a full belly. I thought that was the best description I'd heard from anybody.
Okay.
I thought, oh, okay, so
Yeah,
he
I can-
definitely did get something.
I can
and
manage that way better than
that digests better.
I wasn't really going to get gastric and keep with the theme. I was just going to say, yeah, I agree. Of all the stories coming out of there, this one, that summarization worked the best.
And Jeff gets to push CBS a little bit by saying that Cochran and David are both writing
Blew me away.
together for CBS.
Believe me, not only that, right, because we know Cochran's been on some craptacular shows that he got to be in the writing room for, but they're actually writing for a show
Star
I
Trek.
really like, Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, which is on All Access on CBS. Look, I love Survivor. It's my favorite show, bar none, and has been for years. Mm-hmm. Most of the shows on CBS, I don't give a lick for. They're not my cup of
They're
tea.
not your cup
They're
of
not
tea.
targeting me at all. But Star Trek Discovery, that's the best
Yep.
Star Trek I've ever seen. I mean, it's Bab 5 good. So if you haven't, and to find
That's
out,
Babylon 5 for those of
Yeah,
you that
sorry.
don't know.
yeah. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Star Trek Discovery, definitely do so. There's 2 really good seasons of that to watch, and to find out that David and Cochran are working on it really surprised me. So
Awesome.
wow. That's probably the best part of the reunion show. There, it's like, wow. I got to look at
and
them in a different light now.
to know that Jeff did for Devins what he did for Cochran when he won.
Oh,
Because
the bump.
Cochran got a call like
Yeah,
the
we'll
next
see.
day.
Yeah,
So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I
Of course,
think
that
it's-
was through CBS.
news
but-
is a different thing, different
yes,
beast.
it is, but at least he made the effort.
Well, and
then-
news at CBS has been they've had a really rough time.
Okay, Kelly
a lot of
Wentworth
CBS.
gets to talk about representing the strong woman and being a role model for the girls out there, for the little girls.
Yeah, good stuff.
And that's great. So the strong women, I think that's more why they had a problem with Julie. Julie kept saying she was a strong woman, but I felt like they reacted because
Where's
they
your
didn't
strength?
think she was showing the young girls how to really be a strong woman by, some of her actions. And
Or
so,
just where's the strength?
yeah. So,
Crying that you're jumping ship isn't a display of strength and hysterics.
So Julie tells us, well, she went from soft to tough, and it was the hardest but most amazing thing she's ever done. And so they didn't show if Lauren rolled her eyes or not, but probably. Gavin said that now
He got
He
the
can-
question.
he can
is,
shut up.
Is his obsession abated? Well, he says no. The obsession with Survivor's not gone, but at least he can be quieter about it.
well, and not to his family. He didn't go on about wanting to play all the time.
I didn't think we would see any. I didn't think we would get to see a thing at all this time. Didn't really see it happening.
Yeah, well, but there was money that changed hands, so Jeff had to point that out, and I, for one, was really happy to hear it, and that she didn't take up more showtime
Yes.
to come on and do the whole. That to me is showboating kind of, but just for Jeff to say she's got this SIA award, and she's giving Rick $100,000.
His explanation trailed off into confusion to me, but
Okay.
Rick was shocked, super thankful, and hey, cool. If you're gonna get a fan award, even if it has to be her because CBS won't do it anymore.
Well, I
then-
think that he was just thrilled to meet her backstage, so that seemed to be enough. They were talking about she was backstage with him, and but
I didn't get the sense that he had met her.
I thought he had.
Anyway, he
Seen
looked
her
like he was
something.
in shock. But okay, that was the first one. I guess the tie one made some sense and all that, but it just seemed so awkward.
The what?
When she gave one to Ty.
Oh yeah. Well, she just kind of showed up on the stage, and it looked like they didn't know she was going to do that. She was in the audience up close.
Okay, so they cut to the audience for reaction shots
Yeah.
twice.
Who were they
Actually,
highlighting?
3 times. We couldn't figure
Three
out.
times.
Yeah, so they did it twice
Same
during
area,
this
same
segment.
group.
And then they cut back into that same group of people
Several rows of people.
at the very end. I'm not sure who they were trying to point out.
It's like, do we know someone up there? Who are
It's very
they?
confusing.
I mean, I saw Barbara Probst and Jeff's mom and dad. They were up in the front where they usually are, and you saw a few people that we.
Yeah.
But down
His
close
parents,
to the front. But this
his
was
parents
up.
weren't in this shot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was up in
It
the
was
stands.
like, and now we're going to cut to Sia, and you're like, I don't think Sia's up there.
No.
Is it?
Well, I wouldn't know her if her hair wasn't in
Is it
front of
Becca?
her face. So.
Is it, is it Devin's wife and his kids?
Yeah, we were
Who-
looking to see, do we
who are they cutting
recognize
to?
anybody?
Anyway, we couldn't figure it out.
So we don't know.
All right, so Reem gets a moment, and Probst gets to make fun of her for all her dudes. Dude, toughen
Yeah.
up.
Well, she teared up, so I thought that was very genuine. And
Please let that be the end of her story. And then he gave the nod to Wendy and her ability to inspire others. That was good stuff.
Yep.
Ron got to explain about the villain and the teacher dichotomy and
that
how
he
his
had warned the students, and
his
it's a game, and blah blah
kids
blah.
reacted. Yep.
And so they
Julia
encouraged
got
him to play
another
hard.
moment about dealing with her grief.
Yeah, that was good. That was nice.
He acknowledged that Victoria was so stealth in her gameplay that he often forgot she was there. Just told you everything you needed to know about
Frequently forgot she was.
her game.
Aubrey-
He acknowledged War Dog for driving stories, and
He thanked Aubrey for letting us in a little bit this time,
Mm-hmm.
and but she didn't really respond. He said something to Lauren, and something about Joe. Mentioned War Dog drove storylines. Aurora struggled to find bonds.
no, it was acknowledging that because Aurora opened up, that she had had an impact on people about her story with regards to foster care. That was the
okay.
big takeaway of that.
And struggled
Okay,
to
so
find bonds.
the tease next season on Survivor, the tease. You good to move to that? Season 39.
Well, no, I wanted to mention something that
Oh, okay.
came before that.
All right.
The jury went to Ponderosa, and Jeff said, check out the Ponderosa series. You think he just meant the clips from Ponderosa?
That's exactly what he meant. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, then we will check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, season 39, go.
Boston Rob and Sandra are back. They made it all about them. And so here's the deal. When you got returnees, you tend to get bigger numbers. These are 2 big returnees.
Yep.
And they try to sell it with silly statistics about their combined days playing and all that. Like, I don't... That doesn't
Were
mean
those
anything.
real statues?
Yes. The one that...
Okay,
Okay, so
that
I
was a
could
bit
kind of
much.
see Sandra and
That
hers.
wasn't digital?
I didn't see... I didn't know.
That was-
and they spent a lot
come
of
on,
time
that was
showing
digital,
it.
right?
Nope.
No.
And But the Boston Rob one did not look like Boston Rob to me at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, Probst tells us that that's the Mount Rushmore of Survivor there. Anyway, basically, they're not going to be playing the game. They're going to be there to be mentors, to give Survivor boot camps.
All the newbies.
Yeah, for the next season, which will be called Island of the Idols.
Didn't we just have that?
I think we did. We had a preview here in this season of Island of the Idols.
All right.
Yeah, so that's 39 back in the fall. Okay, I don't really have anything to say about it. I don't want to let myself run on that theme. They're back.
SurvivorAuctions.com.
That's what's coming next. That's what it is, as you like to say. Which
I say it all the time.
means nothing.
It
but
just is what it
it's
is.
just a way to move along.
Go with it or don't.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
your choice.
Right. All right, how about a JSFL
I love
update?
Sandra, so.
Yep.
JSFL winner. Congratulations, James. And James and Shannon, really. James does it under his name, James G. But is he and his daughter both?
Yeah.
So they're also in the side
They
challenge.
collaborate on their picks.
And they won with 101 points.
Wow. So we barely broke 100 this season.
Congratulations. Yes. And oftentimes it's up in the 130s. Or,
Yeah.
Well, here, no one got the final 5 order correct.
Or final 6.
No perfect. Well, that's a given if the final 5 didn't make it.
Yeah.
And there were 2 people, Mike K and Kathy K, that picked Chris to win. You were the only 2. And
Powerful prognosticators.
the most points earned for final 5 order was from Mike K with 38 points earned.
Nice. Good job,
Good job, Mike. I think I got
3.
13.
13.
No, wait,
yeah.
didn't I get Julie?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 13.
Yep.
Don't cheat me out of those.
Yeah, so what
was
a
already
good
behind
what a good
you.
turnaround of their game
Yes.
for James and Shannon.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't that long ago that they had lost the side challenge and were prepping to perform a song.
Well,
as I
and
recall.
speaking of the side challenge, congratulations again, because of course you also won the side challenge.
Yes.
So you get to pick a song
James
for
and
the
Shannon,
loser.
yep.
Yes, James and Shannon, you get to choose a song for the loser to write a parody against and sing it for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so second place was Jack with 80 points.
Whoa, what a nice comeback. Good job, Jack.
With 72 points, Randy. 63 points, Stacy. 62, Brandon. 59, Drew. 56, drumroll, Slappy McGee.
All right, he worked his way out of the basement.
He was only 3 points under me. With 50 points, Brad, Jay Kindred, Jeremiah, and Parker. With 49 points, Cold Mike. 47 points, Jonathan. And with 46 points, Iron Dave is the loser for this season.
He was worried. He sent us that note, said he was warming up
did.
his pipes.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
All right, well, there you go.
So, Dave, you have to write the parody. We'll send you the information soon as James and Shannon, if you can get that to us by Saturday, we'll
Pass that along
pass it along.
to give Iron Dave plenty of time to work on it so he can be ready to deliver it for Jabik 2
You can't have your talented son sing it for you.
to have it ready for Jabik Part 2 for season 39.
Yes.
All right.
We don't have the date when that comes back, do we?
No, it's definitely, they've announced that Survivor is returning. I didn't see the usual notices about renewals further out, so I'm not sure. Certainly 39 and 40, the Probst will be turning around and heading out to film 40 here any day now, I'm sure.
Yep.
So maybe that's why he looks so goofy. Maybe he had just gotten in.
He just got in
Got
from
off the
filming
plane.
39, did the finale, and he's home for a little bit, and then he turns around and goes back for 40.
Yep.
So, yep.
All right, well, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought about this finale. Who were you cheering for? How do you feel about the result? Was there something else you wanted to mention? I see you looking at.
Yes.
Okay, I can wait. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to just say that Rick, in the JSFL stats, Rick received 211
Not surprised.
people who chose him.
That's
to
the
be
most
winner.
ever.
I think so.
Yeah.
And Gavin came in second with 33 people, and Lauren with 23, Victoria with 20, and Chris had 2 people who chose him, and so they got that correct. And Julie had 5. So,
Okay. Anything else?
and I wanted to tell everybody how the scoring was done for this season. If you answered the listener reward bonus question with Victoria, then you earned 1 point. We had to do things differently this season because of all the people to choose from. 5th place is a possible 5 points. If you had 4 safes, I did not. I only had 3. But if you had 4 safes and got that spot correct, you got 5 points. 4th place also gets 5 points. 3rd place, 10 points. 2nd place, 15 points. If you got the winner correct, both of you, you got 20 points. And plus whatever USB points you had available.
Yeah, anybody who still
Which-
had Chris as their USB got points.
That was James and Shannon.
Yeah,
did.
it paid off.
Actually, there were quite a few people that did.
That stuck
that.
with him, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
deal. All right, so we're excited to hear what you thought about the finale, what you're thinking about season 39. Did that get you excited to see that little bit of preview? Looking forward to having Boston Rob and Sandra Diaz Twine as mentors. They won't be playing Survivor. I think that means they'll probably have catered meals out there at their Survivor boot
Lord,
camp.
I hope so.
Yeah, but looking forward to hearing what you thought about it. We've just had fantastic shows all season long. Season's been kind of all over the place at times, but we've been really, we always find ways of enjoying Survivor. It's our favorite show, and we look forward to hearing what you thought about it. We'd really love to have you be a part of this last episode, the one that sits there until the next season starts.
Yeah.
To share your thoughts. So if you've been on the fence at all, you got one more shot to get in on this good thing we got going on Saturdays. Feedback is due noon Pacific time. Keep it in the 3-minute range that's written. You can send an email to Joanne and Stacy Show at Gmail. The voicemail is 206-350-1547. We got a toll free for you, 844-643-8737. You can always record your own and send it in. Lots of people do that for the best possible quality, and we will get that put together and out. Gonna tie a bow on it. We'd love to have you be a part of that process.
I'm anxious to hear how people reacted to the winner
Yes.
and Rick's leaving.
Yeah. Are you bummed? Are you happy? Are you impressed? What did you think of Chris's performance?
Yeah.
What did you think about Final Tribal? That's always it. How would you grade this reunion show? Lots of good talking points available to us.
Yeah, I really thought I would be terribly bummed if Rick didn't make it, but I didn't feel that bummed because Chris felt deserving.
Yes. Yeah. I'm still sad that we didn't get the Devons win.
Yeah, I would have liked that. But this is real
This is
life.
it. Yeah, this is Survivor. It's a cruel, cruel show sometimes. Yep. Okay.
All right, I look forward to it.
Have a good one.